What is up, YouTube? I am Taylor. Welcome to my channel. I'm wearing a nerdy shirt. You can buy it on my website, taylorwinder.com. It's a comic-related shirt, but I'm not going to say who because, copyrighty stuff. Um, yeah, this is my weekly comic book review show. I'm trying something new, so I have a new setup a little bit. I moved the camera in, all tight and stuff. I'm trying a new recording thing. Yes, I'm recording. I even have to edit a little to make this work, so we'll see how it is. If it's awful, let me know in the comments down below. If you like it, let me know in the comments down below. I promise I will still go live with you guys in the future and talk and chat and open boxes and discuss comic booky stuff. But I just wanted to try this and see if I can get it working because everyone else is editing, so why not me? And no, I'm probably not going to do who I am. So let's get into it. This is the go from worst to best. And starting at number one. Oh, I got some glare. Okay, I'm going to have to work on the light setup next time, but here we go. And Unkindness of Ravens number 5. I think this is the last issue of the comic. It's written by Mariana Ignazzi, Dan Panosian, with art by Mariana Ignazzi. The art is kind of simple and cartoony and doesn't really fit the story overly well. And the story, oh, I hope that if this is the end, it is a dumb ending. It is just an exposition dump in the beginning, and then kind of a really flat finish to it all. If it's continuing, it might have some potential, but I thought this was the last issue. I could be wrong. Again, let me know in the comments down below if you're reading it, and if I'm wrong. Next. This is disappointing as well. We only find them when they're dead, number 5. It's an interesting notion. I've been giving this book a chance, and the art has an interesting style, but I have some issues. The panel layout is really kind of dynamic, which can be good, but it also makes it really tricky to figure out what the hell's going on sometimes. And the character design, similarly, the characters age and stuff, which is great, but there's not enough like story cues and context to always tell who the heck is being talked about in here, and who the heck's doing the talking, or any of those things. And the coloring is got some nice dark and drama to it, but it also makes it really hard to tell what in the heck is going on. This is probably the last solo issue I'm going to buy this. I might pick up the trade of the next volume if it makes it that far. But yeah, I want to like this more than I do, and so that's kind of why it's my disappointment of the week, I guess, if we're going to start having that as a category. Okay, X-Men 17. And this is fine. This next section of the reviews. It's Brett Booth on the art, which is striking me as like a very kind of 90s-ish style. And like I get Jean Grey and Cyclops are wearing their original X Factor costumes in this issue for some reason. It's dealing with the Shi'ar in outer space, which is also probably why it's reading a little 90s-ish to me and space adventure-ish to me. I hope this leads to a grand epic space something from Hickman, but I'm not sure if he'll head that direction. It just might be a one-off, like a filler issue, and it felt like a filler issue. So again, not horrible, just kind of, I don't know, DC's Future State Aquaman. I have mostly given up on Future State. I think that's the only one. This actually is the only one I've got this week, and it's not bad. It's the new Aquaman, who's this guy here, an Aqualass, doesn't want to be called that. It definitely is a sort of sci-fi-ish take on the character, and like, it's intriguing enough where I might even keep this going. It's hard to talk about without spoilers. I will say this, the new Aquaman is the son of Black Manta, so that's kind of an interesting thing. And the story is told in an interesting way. Art is great. Art is fantastic and trippy and like weird and undersea and foreign like it should be. But I don't know. The story's it's getting there, and I'm gonna keep it up and see it happens. That hat. Ew, words speaking hard. Batman, black and white, number 2. Batman are one-off little Batman stories where you pair up a writer and an artist and like they do their thing. The first story is Tom King and Mitch Gerads, who have worked together on everything like Miracle Man and the New Strange Adventures, which might be later in the stack. And yeah, Dustin Weaver does a really interesting kind of story in here with a trippy-ish kind of like heavy metal take on it. Dave Aja there's a nice little like homage to like the weekly or daily comic strip format and stuff. It's decent. It's not essential. None of these are essential. Cool pinups, cool art. If you enjoy the artifact of comic as an art piece, this might, and you like Batman, this is probably worth getting. If you worry about continuity or want like a story that's going to go somewhere, not your jam. All right, Star Wars Adventures Smugglers Run #2. This is IDW, so it's kind of like the younger Star Wars, but it's one of the better Star Wars-y stories of the week. There's another one right here, but yeah, it's Han and Chewie being Han and Chewie. They kind of is this, yeah, Greg Rucka. He really nails Han, I think, in this, and that's kind of the essential part of it all. The story's fine. Characterization is really good though, and the art is decent, cartoony. The artist Worley, I can't remember the first name, does a pretty good job of capturing Han's likeness too in the versus the movie. So again, it's not essential reading. This is the second of two, which is like a little capery thing. It's not one of the spec books of Star Wars of the week, but it's a fun little romp, and maybe you give it a whirl. All right, Star Wars Bounty Hunters, #9. This character, I can't remember the name. Jack Palance, something like that. It's a cocky bounty hunter being cocky and bounty huntery. It's kind of that alone is fun enough for me usually, and this is fun, and it's probably worth reading again. It's like kind of in the middle of the stack. I hate the character design of this character. It doesn't seem very Star Warsy at all to me. It seems like they're trying too hard to be like 90s-ish superhero, or that's kind of where it seems like it's referencing, and it just doesn't seem to fit into the world of the Star Wars universe. It doesn't. The design is off on the character, and the art, Villanelli, also kind of off. The story, sure, the story's fine. The story's decent actually, and the story is why it's like as high on this stack as it is. But I just really, really dislike the character design, and I really dislike the artist. I read the first issue of this series, put it on break, picked it back up now that Star Wars is the hottest property in the universe. So I'm like, oh, I'll give it another whirl, and I'll probably stick with it because I think the stories are fun enough to do. But like the art just something bugs me about it. All right, Chip Sidarski, Daredevil #26 with two different artists on it. You got Chichetto and Hawthorne. I like Chichetto stuff. Hawthorne stuff's okay as far as the art goes. This is Elektra as Daredevil. Spoilers if you haven't caught up by now. Well, oops, sorry. But yeah, it's Daredevil, Matt Murdock's in jail, and it's a little ridiculous the way they're telling it, but it's fun. I mean, he's wearing his mask in jail, and he gets to wear his mask in jail. I don't know why they're really allowing it, but it's Sidarski. It's one of the best written series at Marvel right now. One of the most consistent, one of the most fun, one of the most engaging. This issue's not necessarily all that. Again, it ties into King in Black, and that's kind of, I think, its weakness a little bit. Like Elektra gets in over her head, sort of, but you don't really delve into her head, so maybe she's not. There's a little bit of a fun story in there, and it's just I will keep up with this. I just kind of want them to get past the King in Black stuff, so I can go is like Elektra Daredevil story, if that makes sense. All right, Harley Quinn, Batman White Knight Harley Quinn, book 4, by Katana Collins and Sean Morphy. They're the writers. I think Katana Collins is doing the heavy lifting. Mateo Scalera on art, who's always fantastic. I love Mateo Scalera stuff. I have ever since Black Science. This is sort of the origin-ish of how this world Joker becomes the Joker, and how Harley kind of Harleys, and it's kind of poignant and sad and touching in ways. But it also, it kind of like shows the resilience of this world's Harley and stuff. And I kind of wish this world's Harley were the real world's. Well, yeah, I just said that. The real comic world's Harley. I'm enjoying this quite a bit. And I know I keep using the word enjoying, but that's kind of the enjoying part of this stack. Art's great. Story's decent. Story's probably above average on this. I'm interested to see where this is going. And, yeah, I'll carry through this one to the end. All right. Jeff Lemire and Tyler Crook, Colonel Weird Cosmogog. This is the last issue of this. I need to read Black Hammer. I have it the first part of the omnibus and stuff, and I need to give that a whirl and see what's going on with it, because this character's from that, and I'm a little lost. I think everyone else probably will be too, but it's a kind of man who's unstuck in time. Kind of reminds me of Vonnegut. A little bit Groundhog's Day, obviously. Going to touch on that. And it doesn't wrap everything up perfectly. It's just kind of a sad story of what happens when, like, memory goes away and, like, you're lost and stuff. And it's touching. And the art is kind of a weirdly, like, 50s cartoony, but also painterly. I liked it. Is it essential? Like, nothing's essential in this world. Is it required for Black Hammer fans? Maybe. I'm not one to say. But yeah, I like this, and it's a 4 little run. Probably get it in a trade paperback. Okay, Kaiju score number 3. I'm really enjoying the story of this. The art, the artist. Okay, James Patrick is the writer. Rem Brew on art. Rem Brew's art's okay in times. Like, it doesn't quite capture the scale of the kaiju, the giant enormity of the monsters, and the what they can do to cities and stuff. Like, and his facial work bugs me a little bit. It's a little too cartoony for what's going on in this story. And I get that's probably a little bizarre when you're talking about giant monsters fighting each other in a city. It's going to be cartoony. Yeah, but it kind of seems a little off. And especially the way he draws men's faces. He either has long and angular or short and really pudgy and like a weird chin. And it just doesn't quite fit. But that said, the story itself is fun enough that it's like fairly high on my list this week. It's a caper that's going wrong, as capers want to do, Yeah, capers tend to do. There you go. And how the crew has to adjust to it. Kind of like a good little caper film with kaiju. All right. Moving on. The Other History of the Black Universe, or the DC Universe, sorry, by John Ridley Giuseppe Camuncoli. Okay, this is not what I would consider a comic book. I would consider this an illustrated story. It's told all through prose, and there's some heavy lifting in here, and it kind of reminds me again of like not again. It kind of reminds me of like some of the older epic stuff or heavy metal stuff, but it's not really comic booky. I guess if you're going to draw a line in the sand for it, it's really interesting. It's sort of disenfranchised black characters that like have interacted in the DC universe, and specifically in the Teen Titans and stuff in this issue, and kind of how they react to what's going on in the larger picture of the DC universe and their perspective. So it's worth picking up. The first issue was really good. The first issue is Black Knight. This one is Bumblebee and Mac. I thought the first issue was a little stronger, but this is still pretty decent. All right, Post Americana number 2. This is ridiculous. I mean, it's Steve Scroce and Dave Stewart, and yeah, again, and eliminate. I try and get rid of my verbal tics and stuff. So this week it's again. So again, once again, I'm saying again. I apologize. Post Americana. Post-apocalyptic, over-the-top, cannibalistic fun with intelligent artificial limbs. it's nuts. It's I don't know where this is going, but I'm along for the ride. It's a fun adventure romp. Of the post-apocalyptic comics, of which there are about 8 billion going on right now, this is probably the one of the most ridiculous and also one of the most enjoyable. So I recommend it. I don't want to get into a whole lot of spoilery territory. It's not going to be for everybody. It's violent. It's gory. There's people eating people. So if you're not into cannibalism, maybe it's not for you. All right. Department of Truth number 5. Who's a good guy and who's a bad guy when anything becomes truth if enough people believe it? Yeah, this one's still touching pretty close to like current events and media and stuff. Like not quite as heavily as the previous issues, but this is also playing on the idea of like spies being double crossed by their masters and that all that stuff. So just kind of unveiling who the Black Hat is and who's behind all the things that have been happening in the previous issues. But also it's like now you're kind of questioning sides and loyalties and what is truth. And it's a deep, trippy ride. The art is fantastic. It is pretty Bill Sienkiewicz-ish. Yeah. Try saying that one a couple times fast. The lettering, clean, neat. It doesn't bug me, which sometimes lettering does. It's one of my favorite consistent reads right now. James Tynion, the fourth, is on the top of his game in this book, and I recommend it. Highly recommend this one. All right, Dead and Keds, The Suburban Job, Book 1. This one came out. I have a very limited edition version of this on eBay if you want to buy it. Like 50 or 75 copies of one of those. This is poignant post 9/11 tragedy, post some kind of other tragedy that happened in the first Dead End Kids, I think, but I'm not really. I never read that. I couldn't get my hands on it, and so I'm kind of going in blind. But you don't really need to know what's going on. You just need to know that there's some kind of loss that's been suffered, and these kids are all dealing with it. It'd be higher on my list, and it's still pretty high. I mean, it's still a pretty intense storytelling. Not a lot of exposition dump, which I appreciate. It's just kind of something happened in the past, and these guys are dealing with it. If a little bit more happened in this issue, it would probably be at the top of the list for the week. Not quite enough happens for that to be the case, but it's still worth picking up. All right. War. What is it good for? Yeah, remind me never to sing again on my channel. This is Strange Adventures number 8. It's Tom King and Mitch Gerads and Doc Shaner. You start to see that and realize that Adam Strange probably did some stuff during war that's truly horrible, or that's what they're implying. You still don't know what exactly he did, but the Pict, which are the alien race that was always bugging Rand and his folks back in the Silver Age stuff, have invaded Earth. They're doing some real serious damage to Earth, and they're trying to figure out how to stop them. And at the same time, Adam was trying to cope with things he did in the past and the tragedy of a previous war. So I like this a lot. Again, you might be sorry. There's my again. You can probably wait until the wrapped up version of this, but the covers are great. I think this is the 8 cover. I'm not even sure, but like I as the artistic artifact, I really enjoy the individual issues of this one. And finally, my favorite comic of the week, 7. Yeah, it's a Marvel mainstream comic. You get Doctor Strange being an arrogant schoolmaster kind of prick. You get the kids dealing with loss of what happened in the previous issue. I don't want to give it all away, although that cover kind of gives a bit of it away. He gets a lot of like furious anger in this comic, and it's really touching and a little bit poignant, and more than a little poignant. And it's kind of surprising. I didn't expect it to be my pick of the week, my book of the week. I need to stop using that phrase too. But I liked it enough where it's probably the top of the list for me. Ramos' art is cartoony and weird and like trippy, but it fits this story. And yeah, Scotty Young, as a writer, is hitting some emotional notes I didn't really think he was capable of. And I know people are specking all over this as far as general, like, oh yeah, it's going to be a TV show, it's going to be movies, it's going to be action figures, it's going to be worth $40 billion. All that aside, it's a really fun read, and it's a really enjoyable read. And so, if you're not reading this by now, I don't know what to tell you, but like, you should be buying this and just reading it. If you're buying it and collecting it, that's cool and all that, you can do you, but like, maybe open a copy of it and give it a whirl, because it's worth reading. All right. If this all worked, those are my comic reviews of the week. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Yeah, my battery's about to die on my laptop because I forgot to bring a charger to this studio. I'm calling this a studio now, not just my basement. I'm getting fancy. Merchandise up on my site, taylorwinder.com. And good guy, bad guy shirts, or do-gooder, evil-doer shirts are up there, hoodies, comic homage t-shirts, other stuff. My art book's up on there, whatever you want. Hit me up in comments down below if you like these reviews. If you'd rather I did it live, let me know. If you like this recorded format better, let me know that as well. Don't be a dick. Talk to you later.